everybody, and welcome to Pickaway County Virtual Ag Days. I'm Katarina Sharp from the Pickaway Soil and Water Conservation District, and today we are at HONEYRUN Farm with Isaac and Jayne Barnes and their employee Leif, learning a little bit about honeybees.
My name is Jayne Barnes, and with my husband Isaac, we own HONEYRUN Farm.
My name is Isaac Barnes. I'm the co-owner of HONEYRUN Farm with Jayne, my wife. What you see here is a hive on a hive stand, individual hive. It's easier to pull stuff off and talk about it with this. Most of our hives are set up on pallets, 4 hives to a pallet pressed right together like Legos. And that is, they're on pallets in order to pick them up and send them off, okay? So to be migratory, to go different places, you have to have them on pallets, otherwise you kill your back. I spent years lifting these things and it's rough. So we have a forklift. So usually brick marks something, depending on, because you don't know what you want to be able to walk into a bee yard and look at the bricks and see what you have to deal with. So I've got my own little secret language with the brick, and it also holds it down with wind. This is the outer cover that just, protects the hive from the rain and the wind and the snow. That can go on the ground. This is called the inner cover here. I'll start smoking these girls. This helps with ventilation. Our palletized hives don't have an inner cover. I can go there. And so here, these 2 boxes are honey supers. I must have been thinking I could get away with it. Usually in the fall, we just have 1 super on. This area just doesn't provide a whole lot of nectar, and that can vary how many supers you have with how good your nectar flow is. Out in the Dakotas and the northern Midwest, Minnesota, oh man, they have sometimes 6, 8, sometimes 10 supers high because they have that good of a nectar flow with their clovers. Here we just don't. The highest we'll go is about 4 or 5 high in the summer if the soybean flow is really good. You can see in the fall we're all down to just 1 super. This has 2, but most hives have 1. I see these girls have made some honey. I'm going to go ahead and pull a frame here. This is honey. Shake the bees off of there. But yeah, this is Goldenrod honey. Pretty good stuff. I'll get a little bit, usually it's a little bit darker than that, but yeah, it's good stuff. Goldenrod and aster is what the bees were working. That was the nectar source in this fall honey. And they'll fix that right back up. So I'll pull these supers off and then we'll take a look at the brood chamber. This comes off, so that weighs, about 35 pounds. There's a lot of good honey weight there. These girls actually got on it. So this super is a second super put on later in the fall when I could see that one was filling, and they didn't do much at all here. So really, this is a 1 super fall harvest. There's a little bit of nectar in here, okay, but just barely, not much at all. We're getting a lot of this. It's not been a good fall as far as the nectar flow, and that varies year to year. Last year we made, I think, 17 barrels of it, and this year we'll hope we get 17 buckets. I'd say we'll probably actually have 50 or 60 buckets. This, what you see here, is a queen excluder. I was talking about this earlier. Everything in a hive is stuck together with propolis and wax, so it's kind of tough. See, this is a queen excluder, and keeps the smoke on these girls. You can see the little bars. So the bees can go right up through that without a problem. They just squeeze right through. They come up into the supers and they put the nectar there. But the queen, who is down in one of these 2 boxes, she can't get her big butt through there. So this is an important thing. We use it all the time. So we have taken off the honey supers and the queen excluder, and now we see what are called the brood boxes. You can see they're a little bigger. These are called deeps in beekeeper lingo. These two deeps make up the brood chamber, and this is what is going to get this hive through the winter. Whatever calories and you know, honey and pollen are in here is what the bees have to eat unless I supplement them, which is what I'm going to do right now. You can see this is a nice strong hive, bees nice and thick all the way across. This is a feeder, okay? I'm not going to yank that out, but basically it's a container that goes down full length here. I can fit 2 gallons of syrup feed if I need to feed these bees. I can see they're going to be nice and heavy. They've even put honey down in the feeder, which I'm sure they'll be just fine on the weight. This time of year, after I pull the honey off, I'm checking every hive for the weight. Okay, it should make me grunt, basically. A hive that is good and heavy, you want that top box to be 70 or 80 pounds ideally. So I'll pull this up, and if I can look and see several inches of honey, I know it's going to be heavy. We'll take this apart. Yeah, you know, this is probably 50, 60 pounds, and you know, they'll make it. So what you see here, after I separate these boxes, these are the old mite strips. I was talking about varroa mites earlier, and we treat them 4 or 5 times a year. This is from the August treatment. I put 2 strips of, it's formic acid. So it's an organic treatment that you can use while they're producing honey, while you have your supers on. And I'll peel these things off of here right now. But yeah, formic acid and oxalic acid are our main mite treatments. These contained formic acid back in August. And it just, the bees can take formic acid. It's actually naturally in the hive along with oxalic, but mites can't tolerate it. So it kills enough mites to you know, get through another season. But it's one of those things, you have to be on top of things if you're going to run a number of hives. Beekeeping has gotten more complicated in the last couple decades. I'm in a hive probably every 3 weeks, at least once a month. Every single hive I'm doing something, either treating for mites, or right now what I'm going to do is give them a supplemental protein. This is a good strong hive. They probably don't need this, but I started doing this like 5 years ago, and the bees have just looked better going into the winter, and a higher percent has made it through the winter since I started doing protein, along with probably more increased mite treatments over the course of the year. So what this is just a mix of protein and sugar. You can buy it from bee supply stores. I mix it myself. It's just a chunky glob. It kind of tastes like peanut butter. And I'll give every hive, starting mid-August till right now, will get 5 or 6 pounds of protein. And it's just a supplement. Like I was saying earlier, we really kind of lack the diversity of weeds and plants and forage that bees used to have. And so it's good if you can supplement that a little bit, and that's what I'm doing right now. They'll eat through this. This is probably about 2.5 pounds of protein here. A strong hive like this will eat through that in a week, maybe 10 days. You don't want to go too much longer. You know, you don't want to give them 5 pounds, because we have another little parasite called a hive beetle that loves protein. Strong hives will keep those hive beetles away, but if you just give them more than they can handle in a couple weeks time, you'll see hive beetle larvae in there, and that's never a good thing. So I'll put this back together. I'm glad I picked out a strong one for them, honey. Not every hive is this strong. Yeah, bees are like people in that you got lots of different assets and you know, little vices with your hives. Some of them are really mean. Some of them, the queen just is not laying fast, and so you have a smaller hive that you hope can make it through the winter. You know, you just, the bigger hive the better as far as I'm concerned, but this time of year sometimes that gets you, because if I had a mass of bees this big and it was really lightweight, well, they need more calories, and so I'd be working to get some feed on them, and you can only feed them so long with liquid feed because, you know, it's cold. They're cluttered together and they don't come out to eat the feed. So, you know, you hope they all look like this and they feel heavy and you don't have to do much at all. And I'd say probably this year 80% of them are heavy enough, which is great. You know, I don't have to worry about them. They look good. They've been treated. They're more or less mite-free. I'll come back in here in late November and give them a oxalic treatment, which involves basically it turns oxalic acid crystals into a vapor. I've got a kind of a gun-looking thing that I put up under there, and it gives them a big cloud of oxalic acid, and that pretty much finishes off the mites for the year. And again, if the mites are under control, beekeeping is a lot easier. Most of our areas, our yard locations, it doesn't look like this. It's 4 pallets or 5 pallets, and it's a bigger square. But yeah, this is one hive, and we'll take 4 of them per pallet when we move bees.
We'd like to give a huge shout out to Isaac and Jayne Barnes for giving us a tour of their farm, and thank you to all of you for joining us today.